Los Angeles doesn't care about your secrets. It just waits for them to bleed through. And on this particular morning, as the first pale light began to crack the darkness over the Bel Air hills, Sun-Ji stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his fortress and understood that some betrayals announced themselves in silence. He hadn't moved in 6 hours. His reflection in the glass showed a man carved from control. Tailored black shirt unwrinkled, shoulders squared, hands loose at his sides. But his eyes were somewhere else entirely. They were the eyes of a hunter who'd spent the night mapping escape routes, calculating probabilities, and preparing to burn the world down one name at a time. The elevator chimed. The sound sliced through the quiet like the first crack in bulletproof glass. Sun-Ji didn't turn. He watched the city instead, where the lights of downtown Los Angeles flickered like dying stars. He listened to the mechanical whisper of the elevator doors parting, the soft drag of fabric, footsteps that stopped just inside the threshold, hesitating. When he finally turned, what he saw proved every suspicion he'd suffocated all night. Angelia stood in the entrance of their home, and she looked like a woman who'd walked out of someone else's nightmare. Her red dress, the one she'd worn to what she'd called a charity gala, was torn at the shoulder. A thin scratch traced the curve of her collarbone, dried to a copper line. Her breathing was shallow, controlled, the kind of rhythm you learn when you're trying not to show fear. And there was something else. Something that made his chest tighten until every breath felt strategic. The scent. Lavender was gone. Out in its place, gunpowder residue and expensive cologne. The kind of scent that costs more than discretion. The kind that doesn't wash off easily. She closed the door behind her with the precision of someone disarming a bomb. Her dark eyes found his across the expanse of white marble and minimalist steel that suddenly felt like a courtroom. "You're awake," she said. Her voice was steady, too steady. "I never went to sleep." Sun-Ji's voice came out softer than he intended, which made it infinitely more dangerous. "I waited for you all night. Right here." Angelia set her clutch on the entry table. The sound echoed like a gavel. She slipped off her heels, and for a moment she just stood there, bare feet on cold stone, looking smaller, but no less guarded. "You didn't need to do that," she said. Didn't I?" The question hung in the air like a loaded gun. Sun-Ji moved away from the windows, each step measured, deliberate. He didn't walk toward her. Instead, he circled to the kitchen island where his phone lay face up, the screen still glowing with unanswered calls. He picked it up, held it, set it down. "Your phone was off," he said, "for 8 hours. I called 43 times. "My battery died." "Your battery died." He repeated it, not as a question, but as a dissection. He crossed the room then, closing the distance between them until he could see the pulse hammering at the base of her throat, until he could smell it, the ghost of someone else's world clinging to her skin. Sun-Ji leaned in, not to her lips, but to the curve of her neck. He inhaled slowly, deliberately. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper, but it carried the weight of an execution order. "You came home smelling different, Angelia." His breath was warm against her skin. Who was he? Her eyes widened, not with guilt, but with something far more terrifying. Fear. Not for herself, for him. If Sun-Ji's world is about to shatter, hit that subscribe button because this is only the beginning. Drop your city in the comments and let me know. Are you team, he has every right to be suspicious, or team, she's hiding something bigger? Part 2 drops soon, and trust me, nothing is what it seems. The question sat between them like a third presence, something alive and venomous. Sun-Ji watched the micro-expressions flicker across Angelia's face, the tightening at the corners of her mouth, the deliberate steadying of her breath, at the way her fingers curled slightly at her sides before she forced them flat again. She was good. 3 years of marriage, and he was still learning new things about how well she could lie. "There was no him," she said, and her voice carried just the right amount of exhaustion to be convincing. Almost. Sunji stepped back, creating distance that felt more threatening than proximity. He moved to the bar cart, poured 2 fingers of whiskey he had no intention of drinking, and set the glass down untouched. The crystal made a sharp sound against marble. "Do you know what I did tonight while you were gone?" She didn't answer. Smart woman. "I watched the security feeds, all of them." He turned, leaning against the counter with manufactured casualness. "The house cameras showed you leaving at 6:45. Red dress? Diamond earrings? That smile you use when you're playing the part of the perfect wife." He paused, letting the words land. "The city cameras showed your car heading west on Sunset, then south, all the way down to the docks." Something shifted in her expression. Not panic, calculation. "The docks, Angelia. Where cargo comes in that customs will never inspect. Where my rivals dispose of problems that need to disappear." He picked up the whiskey glass, examined it in the dawn light. "What the hell were you doing in my war zone?" "I got lost." The lie was so audacious he almost admired it. Sunji set the glass down with controlled precision. "You've lived in Los Angeles for 6 years. You don't get lost." "I was meeting someone." Her voice changed, softer now, with just enough vulnerability to be disarming. She took a step toward him, then another. "To a gallery owner. He wanted to show me a space in an old warehouse they're converting, for my photography." It was a good lie. It had layers. It referenced her actual passion, the one thing she'd maintained independently from his world. It was exactly the kind of lie someone would tell if they were actually telling the truth. Sanji moved faster than she expected. One moment he was across the room, the next he had her wrist, gentle but immovable, turning her hand to expose her knuckles. The bruising was fresh, purple-black against her brown skin. "Gallery owners don't fight back." I fell. "On your knuckles." "The warehouse had—" "Stop." The word came out quiet, lethal. He released her wrist and reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone. 3 taps and a video filled the screen. Grainy footage from a traffic camera. Her car, that parked outside a warehouse. 37 minutes. Then figures emerging. 3 men, 1 woman in red. He watched her watch the video, watched her realize he'd spent the entire night hunting her digital ghost through the city. "The gallery owner," Sunji said, voice like silk over razors. "Does he have a name?" Angelia's jaw tightened. When she spoke, her voice carried an edge he'd rarely heard. "Are you interrogating me?" "I'm trying to understand why my wife smells like another man." "That's what this is about?" Something dangerous flashed in her eyes. "You think I'm cheating on you?" "I think you're lying to me." He stepped closer, crowding her space deliberately. "And in my world, lies are more dangerous than infidelity." She held her ground, chin lifted. In meeting his eyes with the defiance that sent heat crawling up his spine despite everything. "Maybe I needed space from being watched like an asset instead of a wife." The words hit harder than she probably intended. Sunji felt something crack in his carefully constructed composure. "You want to know what I see when I look at you?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "The only thing in my life that isn't covered in blood. The only reason I haven't become the monster everyone thinks I am." "Then stop treating me like I'm going to disappear." "You did disappear. For 8 hours. Into the most dangerous part of my city." He caught her chin, tilting her face to the emerging daylight, studying the scratch on her collarbone. "And you came back wearing evidence." Sunji's phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. On the 3rd vibration, Angelia's eyes flicked to the device. "Answer it," she said quietly. He didn't move. "Sunji, answer your phone." The screen showed Min Jun, his head of security. The man who never called unless blood was already spilled. Sunji accepted the call but didn't speak. "We have a situation." Min Jun's voice was tight. "The shipment from Busan. It's gone." Sunji's expression didn't change, but something in the air shifted. Angelia felt it. The way you feel barometric pressure drop before a storm. Gone how? Intercepted. Clean job. Professional. Whoever hit it knew the route, the timing, the escort pattern. A pause. They knew everything. Sun Ji ended the call, set the phone down with the care of someone handling a detonator. When he looked at Angelia, his eyes had gone cold in a way that made her throat tight. What's in Busan? She asked, though part of her didn't want to know. Medicine. The word was clipped. Legitimate pharmaceuticals for the clinics I fund in Koreatown. Street value of 3 million. Actual value to the people who need it? Irreplaceable. He walked to the windows, hands sliding into his pockets. The gesture looked casual. It wasn't. 3 people knew the exact route. Me, Min Jun, and the port supervisor I've had on payroll for 6 years. He turned, backlit by the rising sun. 4, if you count whoever Min Jun might have told. Angelia's pulse kicked up. You think you have a leak? I know I have a leak. His phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, and something in his expression went dangerously still. Min Jun just sent me a location. You the warehouse where my shipment ended up. He looked at her with eyes that saw too much. Want to guess which warehouse? The blood drained from her face. Sun Ji crossed the room in 3 strides, backing her against the wall with nothing but proximity and intent. The same warehouse where you spent 37 minutes tonight. The same warehouse you can't explain. The same warehouse that now contains stolen medicine meant for people who will die without it. I didn't. Then tell me what you were doing there. His voice was soft, controlled, absolutely unforgiving. Tell me why you disappeared into the exact location where someone was planning to gut my operation. Tell me why you came home smelling like gunpowder and wearing bruises. She met his eyes, and for the first time he saw something that looked like genuine fear, not of him, of what she was about to say. I can't. Those 2 words hung between them like a death sentence. Sun Ji's jaw worked. He stepped back, and the absence of his presence felt like cold water. Can't or won't. Does it matter? It's the only thing that matters. He grabbed his jacket from the chair, shrugged it on with movements that were too controlled. I'm going to that warehouse. I'm going to find out who stole from me. And when I do... He stopped, looking at her with something that might have been grief. Pray that I don't find your secrets bleeding all over my crime scene. He was at the elevator when she spoke. If you go there, people will die. Sun Ji's finger hovered over the call button. People are already dying. The question is whether you'll be one of them. Sun Ji, please. The elevator doors opened, and he stepped inside, turned to face her. In the pale morning light, he looked like a man already mourning. I gave you 3 years of my life, 3 years of trying to be something other than what I am, and you won't give me the truth. The doors began to close. I hope he was worth it. Angelia stood frozen for exactly 10 seconds after the elevator descended. Then she moved. Her hands were shaking as she ran to the bedroom, tore open the closet, and pulled the false panel at the back. The burner phone was where she'd left it, wrapped in static-proof fabric. 2 missed calls, both from the same number. She dialed back. You're compromised. The voice on the other end was male, clipped, professional. Your husband knows about the warehouse. I'm aware. Angelia stripped off the torn red dress, as pulled on black jeans and a fitted jacket. How bad is it? The shipment's been moved. We're clean. But if he shows up with his people, he will show up with all of his people. She was loading a Glock she'd kept hidden in a lockbox under their bed. Sun Ji didn't know about this gun. He didn't know about a lot of things. And when he gets there, he's going to find exactly what we need him to find. The deal was no casualties. The deal just changed. She checked the magazine, chambered around. He's a syndicate head, not an idiot. If we feed him a convenient scapegoat, he'll know it's staged. A pause. What are you suggesting? Angelia caught sight of herself in the mirror. the scratch on her collarbone, the bruises on her knuckles. The woman staring back looked nothing like the wife who'd smiled at charity galas. "I'm suggesting we let him find the truth, just not all of it." "That's not the plan. Plans change. People adapt." She grabbed a set of keys from the drawer. "Or they die. Your choice." She ended the call and made another. It rang 4 times before a woman's voice answered. This had better be important. "I need eyes on Sun Ji. Now." "He left the building 7 minutes ago. 2-car convoy. He's heading south. Toward the warehouse." "That would be my guess." The woman's tone sharpened. "Ange, if he finds out what you've been, he won't. He's not stupid. No, but he's emotional, and emotional men make predictable choices." Angelia was moving through the penthouse now, checking sight lines, memorizing exit routes. "How long until he reaches the location?" 18 minutes. Maybe 15 if he's as angry as I think he is. "Then I have 12 minutes to get there first." "What are you going to do?" Angelia paused at the door, looking back at the home she'd built with a man who was equal parts salvation and damnation. "What I've always done. Whatever it takes to keep him breathing." She took the service elevator down, the one the staff used, the one that bypassed security cameras Sun Ji didn't know she'd already compromised. Her car was in the underground garage, a nondescript sedan with plates that wouldn't trace back to anything. The drive to the warehouse district took 9 minutes. She parked 3 blocks away, approached on foot. The building looked abandoned. It was supposed to. The steel door was locked with a chain that had been cut and replaced to look intact. Inside, the smell hit her first. Salt water, rust, and something organic that made her stomach turn. She found them in the back room. 2 bodies, one she recognized as Min Jun's port supervisor. The other was unfamiliar, but the tattoos told her enough. Yakuza, old rivalry, convenient scapegoat. Too convenient. Angelia pulled out her phone, took photos, then made them disappear with 3 swipes. She was erasing the last image when she heard it. The unmistakable sound of multiple vehicles pulling up outside. Sun Ji was early. She had 90 seconds. Maybe less. Angelia moved through the warehouse like smoke, silent and deliberate. She couldn't be found here. Not yet. Not before she controlled the narrative. The metal stairs leading to the upper catwalk were rusted but stable. She climbed them 2 at a time, finding shadows in the skeletal architecture. Below, the warehouse door exploded inward. Sun Ji entered first, and even from above, Angelia could see the difference in him. This wasn't her husband. This was the head of the K Syndicate. The man who'd built an empire on calculated violence. He moved with absolute certainty, flanked by 6 men carrying weapons they weren't bothering to hide. He saw the bodies immediately. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at Min Jun's contact. Then he crouched, examining the scene with the precision of someone who'd seen too many crime scenes to be fooled by amateur staging. "Min Jun," his voice carried in the empty space. "Tell me what I'm looking at." His security head stepped forward, face carefully neutral. "Assassination. Professional. The port supervisor and a Yakuza enforcer. Looks like they killed each other." "Looks like." Sun Ji stood, wiping his hands on a handkerchief. Funny thing about looks. They're usually designed to deceive. From her perch, Angelia watched him work, watched him circle the bodies, studying blood spatter, checking angles, reading violence like others read books. He was too good at this, always had been. "The medicine," one of his men said. "It's not here." "Of course it's not here." Sun Ji moved to a stack of crates, running his hand over the wood. "This is theater. Someone wanted us to find this. Wanted us to think it was a Yakuza play." He turned, scanning the warehouse. "Which means the real story is somewhere else." His eyes swept the upper level. Angelia pressed herself deeper into the shadows, controlling her breathing, willing her heart to quiet. She'd trained for this. Years of it. But training felt different when the hunter was someone who knew how you breathed in your sleep. Boss, Minjun was looking at his phone. We just got a ping. The medicine shipment. It's at Port of Long Beach, berth 42. Sunji's expression didn't change, but something in his posture tightened. That's a public terminal, heavy traffic, cameras everywhere. Which is why they moved it there. They're daring us to come get it. Or they're daring us to make a mistake that ends up on federal surveillance. Sunji pulled out his phone, made a call. I need a legal retrieval team at the Port of Long Beach, berth 42. Paperwork has to be perfect. No shortcuts. He ended the call, looking back at the bodies. This isn't about the medicine. It's about making me react exactly the way they expect. Minjun shifted uncomfortably. What do you want us to do? Clean this up. Make it disappear. I don't care about these bodies. He started toward the exit, then stopped, turned, looked up at the exact section of catwalk where Angelia was hiding. For 3 heartbeats, she was certain he saw her. Then he looked away. And find out who else knew about that shipment. Everyone. I want names, histories, bank records. Someone inside my operation sold me out. His voice went cold. And when I find them, I want them alive long enough to tell me why. He left. The warehouse emptied. Silence returned like a held breath finally released. Angelia waited 10 more minutes before she moved. Climbing down, she stopped at the bodies, memorizing details Sunji might have missed. But the Yakuza enforcer had a phone in his pocket. She took it. Outside, the sun was fully risen. Los Angeles was waking up to another day of beautiful lies. Angelia walked back to her car, got in, and sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. He's coming home. She deleted it and drove. If Sunji and Angelia's dangerous game is tightening the knot around your attention, hit that subscribe button, because the lies are about to get lethal. Drop your city below and tell me, are you team Sunji should trust his instincts, or team Angelia's playing a deeper game? Part 3. Drops next, and I promise you, nobody's hands are clean in this war. Angelia beat him home by 6 minutes. She used 4 of them to strip, shower, and erase the scent of warehouse rust and old blood. The remaining 2 she spent arranging herself on the bedroom chaise like a woman who'd been waiting, worried, exactly the way a wife should be. When she heard the elevator, her heart rate was perfectly controlled. Her hands were steady. Sunji walked in and stopped in the doorway. He didn't speak, just looked at her with eyes that had seen too much in the last hour. The silence stretched between them like a blade being slowly drawn across skin. You left angry? Angelia said softly. I left hunting. He loosened his tie with one hand, the movement deliberate. Did you think I wouldn't come back? I thought you might come back with blood on your hands. I still might. He crossed to the bar, poured whiskey this time, drank it in one swallow. Do you want to know what I found at that warehouse? Her pulse kicked up, but her expression stayed serene. Do you want to tell me? 2 bodies, staged execution, amateur work designed to look professional. He set the glass down, turned to face her fully. And do you know what I realized while I was standing there, looking at dead men who died for someone else's game? She waited. I realized my wife is a better liar than I gave her credit for. He moved toward her, each step measured. The way you answered my questions this morning. The careful balance between defensive and vulnerable. The strategic deployment of emotion. He stopped just out of reach. It was masterful. I almost believed you. Almost? You made one mistake. He pulled something from his pocket. A photograph. And grainy surveillance footage showing a woman in red dress, 3 blocks from the warehouse, 11:47 p.m. You told me you were there at 8. The timeline doesn't match. Unless... His voice dropped to something dangerous. You went back. Angelia's mind raced through options, calculations, escape routes. She settled on the only weapon she had left. The truth. Part of it, anyway. I went back because I was afraid, she said, standing. The silk robe she wore caught the morning light, turning her silhouette into something both fragile and formidable. Afraid of what you'd find if you got there first. Afraid for me? Or afraid of me? Both. She moved closer, close enough to see the muscle jumping in his jaw. You think I don't know what you're capable of? I've watched you for 3 years, Sunji. I've seen how you handle threats, how you eliminate problems. She reached up, fingers hovering near his face but not quite touching. I was protecting you from making a mistake you couldn't unmake. His hand shot out, catching her wrist, not painful but immovable. By lying to me? By keeping you from committing murder on federal surveillance. Her voice was steady despite his grip. That warehouse is monitored. I checked. If you'd gone there in full fury, if you'd found what they wanted you to find and reacted the way they expected. She pulled against his hold, testing. He didn't release her. You would have given them exactly what they needed to destroy you. Sunji's expression shifted, something calculating moving behind his eyes. They. You keep saying they. Who is they? Angelia? I don't know. More lies. Strategic omissions. She stepped into his space, forcing him to either back up or accept her proximity. He held his ground. There's a difference. Not to me. His free hand came up, fingers sliding along her jaw, tilting her face to the light. Do you know what it costs me not to break you right now? Not to tear apart every secret you're keeping until I find the truth? About the same as it costs me not to tell you everything. Her breath caught as his thumb traced the scratch on her collarbone. Because once I do, once you know what I've been hiding, there's no going back, for either of us. Then tell me. His voice was rough. Tell me and let me decide what I can live with. You can't live with this. Try me. Angelia pulled away from his grip, or walked to the windows overlooking the city. Los Angeles sprawled beneath them, beautiful and corrupt, exactly like everything else in their lives. 3 years ago when we met, you thought I was just another gallery owner, another pretty face at another fundraiser. She spoke to the glass, to her reflection, unable to look at him for what came next. That wasn't an accident. I was assigned to you. The silence behind her was absolute. Assigned by whom? Sunji's voice was eerily calm, the kind of calm that preceded violence. A task force, multi-agency, they've been building a case against the K Syndicate for 7 years. She turned, facing him fully. I was supposed to get close to you, map your operations, identify your vulnerabilities. Feed them intelligence until they had enough to dismantle everything you'd built. He moved so fast, she barely tracked it. 1 second he was across the room, the next he had her against the window, his body a wall of controlled fury. You're telling me our entire marriage is a lie? I'm telling you it started as one. Her hands came up to his chest, feeling his heart thundering beneath expensive fabric. It was supposed to stay one. But somewhere between the assignments and the debriefings and the carefully constructed cover story, something shifted. How convenient. His breath was hot against her face. The spy falls for her mark. Is that the twist? The spy was supposed to deliver you to them 6 months ago. She held his gaze, unflinching. Instead, she's been systematically feeding them false intelligence, or redirecting investigations, and burying evidence that would have buried you. Her voice cracked. The spy committed treason for you, Sunji. Multiple counts, career-ending, life-destroying treason. His grip on her arms tightened. Why? Because the man I was supposed to destroy turned out to be the only honest thing in my dishonest life. She could feel tears threatening but forced them back. Because you're a criminal with more integrity than the people who sent me after you. Because... She stopped, the words too dangerous even now. Say it. Because I fell in love with you, and I couldn't figure out how to save us both. Sunji's expression was unreadable. For a long moment, he just stared at her, and Angelia couldn't tell if she'd just signed her own death warrant or saved her life. Then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was possession and fury, and 3 years of wondering if she was real. His mouth was demanding, punishing, asking questions his words couldn't form. Angelia responded with equal ferocity, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer even as part of her screamed to run. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Sunji's forehead rested against hers. "If you're lying to me now, I'm not. If this is another play, it's not." She gripped his face between her hands, forcing him to see her, really see her. "I know what I'm risking telling you this. I know you could kill me right now and no one would ever find my body. But I'm tired, Sunji. I'm tired of lying to you. I'm tired of being two different people. I'm tired of waking up next to you and wondering which version of me you'll stop loving first." His laugh was bitter. You think I love you? After this? I think you want to stop. I think you're trying to convince yourself you can." She traced the line of his jaw. "But we're the same, you and me. We don't know how to quit things that are destroying us." He pulled back, ran a hand through his hair, the careful styling finally giving way to chaos. "The task force. They know you've compromised? They suspect. That's why they're escalating. The warehouse, the setup, the bodies. That was them forcing your hand, forcing mine. And your handler? The one you called this morning?" Angelia's eyes widened. "How did you... You think I don't monitor our phone lines? All of them?" He pulled out his phone, played a recording. Her voice crystal clear. Plans change, people adapt, or they die. She'd underestimated him. Again. "His name is Marcus Webb, former CIA. Now he runs the task force." Angelia sat on the edge of their bed, no longer trying to hide anything. "He recruited me 8 years ago, trained me, gave me purpose when I had none. And now?" Sunji was at the window, back to her, shoulders tight. "Now he wants me to finish the job or disappear. Those are my options. Deliver you or become a liability they eliminate." "When?" 72 hours. That's the deadline." Sunji turned, and the look on his face was pure calculation. "So we have 3 days to destroy a federal task force, fake your death, and disappear before they kill us both. That's one option. What's the other?" Angelia stood, moved to the closet, and pulled out a leather folder she'd kept hidden for 2 years. Inside were documents, photographs, financial records. "Marcus Webb isn't the patriot he pretends to be. For the last 6 years, he's been using the task force as cover to run his own operations. Drugs, weapons, trafficking. He's everything he accuses you of being, except he does it with government resources and federal immunity." Sunji took the folder, flipped through it, his expression growing darker with each page. "You've been investigating your own handler? I've been building an insurance policy, one that proves the task force is corrupt, that their case against you is fruit from a poisoned tree, and that Marcus Webb deserves everything you could do to him." She watched him read. "We expose him. The whole operation collapses. Your empire stays intact. I stay alive. We both win. Except for the part where you're a federal agent who committed treason." Former agent. "See, as of right now." She pulled a phone from her pocket, not the burner, her real one, and made a call. "Put it on speaker." Marcus Webb answered on the second ring. "Tell me it's done." "It's done," Angelia said calmly, "but not the way you wanted." A pause. "Explain." "I'm not delivering Sunji to you. I'm not disappearing. What I am doing is giving you a chance to walk away before I burn your entire operation to the ground." "You're making a mistake, Ange." "No. I made a mistake 8 years ago when I trusted you. I'm correcting it now." She looked at Sunji as she spoke. "You have 24 hours to shut down the task force, destroy any files related to Sunji or the K Syndicate, and retire to whatever hole you crawl into when you're not ruining lives. Do that, and then the evidence I have against you stays buried." "You don't have evidence." "Check your email. I just sent you a preview." She ended the call. Sunji's phone buzzed. An email from an encrypted address. He opened it, scanned the contents, and something like admiration flickered across his face. You sent him his own bank records, the offshore accounts, the shell corporations. I sent him 5% of what I have, enough to know I'm serious. He'll come after you. He'll try. Angelia pulled another item from the closet, a gun, checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. But he'll have to go through both of us, and I'm betting he's too smart to start a war he can't win. Sun Ji set the folder down, closed the distance between them. He took the gun from her hands gently, set it aside, and pulled her against him. You just declared war on the federal government for me. I declared war on corrupt men hiding behind badges. There's a difference. She wrapped her arms around him, feeling the tension in his body. Besides, you would have done the same for me. In a heartbeat. He kissed the top of her head. But I'm a criminal. I'm supposed to make terrible decisions. You're supposed to be the good one. Maybe I'm tired of being good. She pulled back enough to see his face. Maybe I want to be terrible with you. 23 hours later, Angelia and Sun Ji stood in the penthouse as the sun set over Los Angeles, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold. The city looked peaceful from this height. It was an illusion. It always had been. Marcus hasn't responded, Angelia said, checking her phone for the 100th time. So he will. Sun Ji was at his laptop, monitoring feeds from sources she didn't ask about. Men like him always do. They can't help themselves. As if summoned, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Webb. You've made your point. His voice was tight, controlled. I'm shutting it down. The task force, the investigation, all of it. You and your husband get to keep playing house. Smart choice. But understand something. The menace in his tone was unmistakable. This doesn't end. You don't get to threaten me and walk away clean. I'll be watching, waiting, and the moment you slip... Sun Ji took the phone from her hand. Marcus Webb, this is Sun Ji. I want you to listen very carefully. His voice was conversational, almost friendly. If you or anyone connected to you comes within 100 miles of my wife, I will demonstrate exactly why people fear the K Syndicate. I will make it slow. I will make it personal. And I will make sure you're alive to watch everyone you've ever cared about suffer first. Silence. Do we understand each other? Perfectly. The line went dead. Sun Ji handed the phone back, returned to his laptop. He'll comply, for now. And later, we'll be ready. He closed the laptop, finally turning to face her fully. You know this changes everything. You can't go back to who you were. The life you had before was a lie. I know. Angelia joined him by the windows, the city spreading out beneath them like a game board. I'm okay with that. As long as I can be whoever I am now, with you. Sun Ji pulled her close, one arm around her waist, the other hand tilting her chin up. And who are you now? Honestly, I'm still figuring it out. She smiled, the expression genuine for maybe the first time in years. But I know I'm done pretending to be something I'm not. Done lying to you, done trying to save you from yourself. So what now? Now we do what we've always done. We survive. She traced the line of his jaw, feeling the stubble, the warmth of his skin. Together. He kissed her then, slow and deep, a promise made without words. When they broke apart, the sun had fully set, leaving the city bathed in artificial light and real shadows. I need you to understand something, Sun Ji said quietly. What we're doing, staying together, fighting together, it won't be clean. It won't be safe. There will be more people like Marcus. More threats. More reasons to walk away. I know. And you're choosing this anyway? Angelia looked out at Los Angeles, at the empire he'd built, at the dangerous, beautiful mess of their lives. I spent 8 years choosing duty over desire, following orders over instinct, being who they needed me to be instead of who I was. She met his eyes. I'm done with that. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. I'm choosing the truth, even if it destroys me. It might. Then we'll burn together. She kissed him again, softer this time. I can live with that. Sunji pulled her impossibly closer, his mouth finding the curve of her neck, the place where her pulse hammered beneath skin. No more secrets? No more secrets. No more lies? No more lies. Then tell me one true thing, right now. Something you've never said before. Angelia was quiet for a moment, feeling the weight of everything they'd survived in the last 24 hours. Then she spoke, voice steady and sure. I would burn the whole world down before I let anyone take you from me. Sun Ji smiled against her skin, the expression dangerous and devoted in equal measure. Good, because that's exactly what loving me requires. They stayed there as the city moved beneath them, two people who'd chosen each other over everything else, over safety and sanity and the lives they were supposed to want. It wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't redemption. It was survival. It was truth. And for two people built from lies and violence, that was enough. The night ahead would bring new threats, new challenges, new reasons to question their choices. But for now, in this moment, that they had each other. Everything else was just details. If you made it this far through Sun Ji and Angelia's war for survival and truth, smash that subscribe button because part 2 is coming and the real game hasn't even started yet. Drop your city below and tell me, would you burn the world for love or walk away to save yourself? Trust me, what's coming next will make you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, love, and how far you'd go to protect what's yours. Don't miss it.